Hello, everyone. Dom,
Hey Mike, what's up?
not too much. Getting ready for another movie talk, aren't we?
You know it. You know it. Today, as if your background isn't giving it away,
Yeah,
today we're talking about the 2017 horror movie, The Ritual.
yeah.
And it's hard to say, like, the people that starred in it, very few people know them. It's not like they're unknown, but they're not really well-known actors.
No.
Likewise, the writer, the director, they've definitely done stuff before, but probably not a lot that particularly people in America might know. This is sort of a mostly British production.
Yeah, I can't say I was really familiar with anyone in this film, at least known. Um, it wasn't like I recognized certain faces or whatever and said, "Oh yeah, this guy, he was in this or that." I
So
didn't.
let me give a little bit of background about these people.
Yeah.
The it This movie is based on a book of the same name by the author Adam Neville. I have not read the book, so I can't say much about that. But the screenplay was written by Joe Barton. And I didn't know his name, but I know a lot of his works. He wrote the BB show Sci-Fi Humans, which I feel is just a phenomenal piece of work. Great show. Also wrote the Lazarus Project that has had one season. I haven't seen it, so I can't say about that. The director, David Bruckner, has actually done quite a bit of horror.
Yeah, yeah,
He,
Bruckner, I'm
mhm,
familiar with.
he did the movie Southbound and the movie The Night House. He's done others, but those are the ones that I recognized.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, in that last picture that I had up, it said they should have gone to Vegas, and yes, they should have. But
Well,
give the
did you
synopsis. So,
did
uh,
you know that they tried not to use that tagline
really, I thought it was a
because
great
this
tagline.
movie came out, it was going to come out, and then the Vegas shooting happened.
Oh, yeah,
Mass shooting in Vegas, and they were
yeah,
like, oh, "We probably shouldn't use that
yeah.
tagline."
The Bellagio. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Anyway, the synopsis of the movie is five guys, really good friends, and they've got a tradition of going somewhere together on holiday every year.
yeah.
And this particular year, the guy whose turn it is to choose decides he wants to go on this long wilderness hike towards the across the outbacks of Sweden.
Which no one else is that excited about.
Oh, no one else is that excited
Yeah,
about it.
yeah. They're like,
Given that you could go to Vegas, you could go to Italy, you could
yeah,
go to Brazil.
yeah,
I admittedly, Lisa would love the sound of that.
yeah.
But if someone said they wanted to take me on a multi-day trek across the backwoods of Sweden,
Right.
um, it would be gorgeous. It would be
Oh,
beautiful.
yeah, yeah.
But to be honest, I can't say I would be that excited.
Right. Well, yeah, that's the thing. Like for me, especially at my age, but for me, a vacation is a vacation. You want to enjoy yourself. You don't want to, and hey, I get it. There's plenty of people that their idea of a vacation is very athletic and rigorous, and they want to be extremely active. But at my age, no, I'm not doing
I,
that.
I actually do know a number of people, and a number of people older than me that would love
Yeah.
hiking
Yeah.
the wilderness of Sweden.
Well, and I love Nordic countries, and Sweden is one. I haven't been to Sweden, so
Nope.
I would love to go there. However, I do have to say that after seeing this movie, and not only this, I always thought of the Swiss as these very friendly, nice people, but then there's Midsummer, and which I
Yep.
love that movie. That's a favorite movie of mine. I think it's an excellent movie. Really hallucinatory. If you're watching it, you're like, holy crap, you're tripping. But like you can get, I guess if you get into the wrong parts of the wrong parts of the country, things could happen.
Really,
Because
wrong parts of anywhere.
yeah, that's true. Well, that's true. But
So, but we digress. To go on with the synopsis.
yeah,
Um, Before they actually go on the trip, two of these guys go into a convenience store late at night
yeah,
and they stumble into a robbery.
right, right.
One guy hides while the other guy is killed.
Yeah, yeah. Which I kind of got mixed feelings about. On the one hand, on the one hand, you can say, first of all, the other friends were outside, completely oblivious to what's going on. They weren't paying attention at all. The robbery starts, and the friend is targeted, and they're trying to rob him of all his stuff. This guy here just kind of like hunkers down in the back. Um, Now, you can say what you want. I mean, everybody's different in different situations. You just never know how you're going to react necessarily. And I can't say I'm any big hero or a big, I've never been somebody that was, thought I was some Mr. Tough guy. But I think I probably would, especially considering, if there'd been firearms involved, I might have just like figured out, okay, I can't fight against guns if I'm not armed myself. But in this situation, I probably would have grabbed a couple of those wine bottles, at least come after them to give the guy a hand, because it was two guys against two guys. Granted, the other two were armed with weapons, but they were knives, machetes, whatever they were, a bat, I guess. So yeah, I don't know, but he gets kind of, his friends aren't saying it, but they're kind of thinking like,
Yep.
well, he was a pussy and he didn't do anything, and our friend's dead because of him. So they do like a memorial hike.
So yeah, to honor him, they actually do go to Sweden to do the hike.
yeah,
And during the course of the hike, one of them sprains their ankle badly,
the one
slowing down
on
the entire group.
the one on the left, or the,
The
well,
one with
actually,
glasses.
right. Yeah, the one closest to you. Yeah.
Yeah, and so not wanting to be out in the wilderness for longer than they have to, longer than they had planned, they decide to take a shortcut through some woods.
Yeah. Yeah.
And not a great idea. Wandering through dark, unfamiliar woods, they stumble upon a ritual.
Yeah. Yeah. A kind of freaky ritual.
Kind of
In
freaky.
fact, one of the first things they say is this right behind me, which is some kind of a deer um, pulled up into the trees, gutted, with all of its insides pretty much like laying out on the ground, and lots of markings on trees. Looks very Blair Witch Trial kind of thing. So it's yeah, kind of spooky. And I, to tell you the truth, if I started seeing that shit when I was first going into the woods, I would have said, okay, let's.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
there's no way I would have gone on. I like,
yeah,
you know, what did this?
yeah,
Because this is not an easy feat.
yeah. No,
And then you're just gonna, you obviously didn't care about the meat. You're not doing it,
no.
you
They
know, for
wasted.
survival.
Yeah, there was, if there was any hunting involved, they completely wasted the kill. Um, it was something that was done to make a point too.
Yeah.
And they wanted them to know that there was something going on. So that in itself would have, I mean, at one point one of them says, and I thought it was a great tagline. He says, "We shouldn't be here." And when anyone in your party tells you we shouldn't be here, you probably shouldn't. It's probably time to turn around. So like I said, I think I would have, I would have turned around before then. And the very fact that no, they weren't even armed or anything, that made it that much more I mean, they started out talking about you. Are there bears in here? Well, probably are. And which I don't know. I really didn't even realize there was a bear population still in Sweden, but I guess there is.
But that's the thing. Like I have no idea if there are
Yeah.
bears in Sweden, or and if so, what kind.
Yeah.
However, I can tell you, were I doing a multi-day trek through the woods,
Yeah.
I would learn about that.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Because I mean, you kind of want to know what you're up against in a
What you
certain
might
area.
expect. Yeah.
But just the markings on the trees and stuff. I mean, I don't want to get into any deliverance shit either. That's the other thing. So I mean, if you're going into a country, well, you should be aware. Is there is there dangers, and what are the dangers? And yeah, if there's bears around, probably would be a good idea to have some at least bear spray at the very least, and some good strong bear spray. But
But as it turned out, the bear potential bears were the least of their
yeah,
worries.
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely it was. It's now as far as this movie, when did you first see this? How long ago?
I saw it when it first came onto Netflix.
Yeah,
So 2017.
okay. Yeah, because this was, of course, this was your pick, and I did realize, because when you said The Ritual, I mean, right away, there's so many movies named The Ritual or Ritual or Rituals, or there's several different movies that have similar titles. And so as soon as you said it, I was like, well, I might have seen it. Um, and then when I looked at the trailer, my first thought was, I don't know, I'm not sure. But after I started watching it, I realized, yep, I definitely have seen this one. Um, and I did definitely like it. I thought it was quite a good movie.
Yeah,
Um,
this was a pleasant surprise. This isn't like, my favorite horror or the greatest horror of all time or one of the must-see horrors before you die.
right.
But for being coming out of left field, kind of unknown, and
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people still don't know about it. It's a good, solid horror movie.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's a fun watch for anyone that hasn't seen the movie. Um, I mean, we can talk about it, and it's almost a movie that you can talk about things that happen. And if somebody sat down and watched it, I mean, we always tell people it's spoiler alert. We named ourselves that because we tend to break down a
We're going to talk
movie,
about the movie.
right? And so people, if you haven't seen it, there's the potential to have the movie spoiled for you if we say something about the ending or just the basic plot in detail, scenes, whatever. But this is one I think you could break down, and then somebody could still sit down and thoroughly enjoy it.
There's
Um,
no tricks up its sleeve.
no,
There's no twist ending.
yeah,
It's just it's a solid folk horror. These average dudes are in the woods, and they're woods that belong to something
yeah,
other than
yeah,
humans.
yeah. It's well, there's a few things going on because I mean it's you get the feeling that there's a whole pagan society that's in there, that like druidic, whatever they are. Um, and then you also get the feeling that it's something so much more so. It's actually, I guess, I was kind of like looking up probably this isn't something that you really can read or anything, but it's the creature is actually something from Norse mythology, and has a name that I really could not pronounce. But
I would say Jutan,
yeah, I think that's
but even I might be butchering that myself.
yeah, yeah. I didn't even attempt. I didn't even attempt it because, but yeah, like I said, and that's kind of like one of the figures but they encounter many figures, many markings and things like that. I would say one of the worst, one of the creepiest, and probably one of the freakiest times. Their first night in the woods when they realize we probably shouldn't be here. But at that point, there is an argument about, well, already we got a guy injured. So there's an argument about, is it shorter to continue on? Is it going to be even worse trying to go back? So what to do with a badly injured guy who he was getting worse. His knee was getting to the point where, I mean, they at first they were just saying, "Oh, you're being a pussy, push on, you're okay," because he was a whiner. but but at the same time, they began to see with the swelling and how bad he was doing that it was worse than him, just not, trying to man up and take it. So they were kind of in a bad place. But that first night in the cabin, I don't know what you thought of it, but it was like, yeah, that just I would have checked out that cabin a lot more than they did when they first went there. And then the other thing is, it was a little freaky, so I almost would have been kind of like not not trying to at least sleep real soundly because it definitely looked like there was occupation going on.
Yeah, but I don't think it would have mattered. I mean, they went to sleep and all of them had their minds preyed upon by
Yeah,
whatever force
yeah.
was there. I don't think like they could have tried anything they wanted. I don't think it would have mattered.
No, I don't. I agree. I definitely agree because, I mean, they they wake up in varying degrees of. I mean, this guy wakes up with markings on his chest,
Hmm.
outside of the cabin, has no idea how he got out there. One guy is almost screaming, in his sleep, because of the dream he's having. There's one guy missing who turns out to be upstairs where there's this really incredibly creepy druidic figure, made out of like wood and twigs and straw, whatever. And he's worshiping it. He's like naked, laying down in a posturing, symbol of like worship, and he has no idea how he got there and why he's doing it. So
So one thing that really struck me about this movie, because like I said, it's a good solid horror movie.
yeah,
One of the things that sets it apart for me is the use of survivor's guilt
right,
in
right,
this. Like intrinsic in any horror movie is fear.
right,
Yeah, you're not going to find a horror movie that doesn't play with fear, but you'll often find horror movies that deal with another emotion as well. Body horror is great for disgust,
yeah, yeah,
loneliness,
yeah,
illness, infirmary. There's all these things that are horror movies will compound upon the fear to make it even more extreme. I don't know if I've ever seen a movie use guilt like this
yeah,
one did.
yeah, yeah,
Because yeah, they were being preyed upon by a supernatural force, but part of their suffering, particularly this guy's,
yeah,
Luke,
yeah, yeah,
his suffering was self-inflicted because of the guilt he felt at hiding while he witnessed his friend murder.
yeah. And on top of it, the creature, the mythological creature, kind of picks him out. I mean, that scene there where you see him with he's marked
Hmm.
as the one, and as the one to survive, or actually be the sacrifice. But or actually, I guess he's given the option to join the cult, and
I think they want. I think he was being marked as someone who would be a future worshiper
yeah,
added to the group.
yeah. So maybe it was, something looking to whatever they felt his weaknesses were, but
Hmm.
he actually was the one that actually probably was the most effective in standing up to it. Not that, there was a whole lot of chance at doing that. I mean, he fared better in some ways than some of them did because, some of them, ended up doing quite badly, and, including this fellow here who
Hmm.
was part of their party. Um, and he was actually one of the stronger ones. And in the group. And
He was sort of the strongest. It's almost like the thing targeted
yeah,
the
to eliminate.
strongest of the group
Yeah,
first.
yeah. And and it was actually, even because he wasn't he the one that was having the dreams too. He was having, I think he was having some
I
really,
think they were all having dreams.
yeah, that's true. They were. I think he had a really severe dream at one point. I think about his wife or something. But he but yeah, like I said, I think it was really messing with well, it was messing with them all. But again, I don't know. I thought it was kind of cool when they ended up getting captured by that group too. That group was such a crazed, you know, scary group of people, and they started pulling them out and targeting them for sacrifice. Yeah, that was. Was she like there didn't seem to be hardly any nearest number of women in the group. Seemed like there was probably three-quarters of them were males, but they were definitely like real psychotic cultist type of
Well,
people.
I get the sense, and again, none of this is explicit. I could be wrong, but my mind put it that these are all people that have been marked by this thing
Yes.
and have been kept alive indefinitely.
Yeah. Yeah.
With at this point, they're broken. They actually do worship this thing because it's all they know.
Well, she was actually, you're right, because she was actually I mean, she had been taken in. She was, and there were whole families and things like that that had apparently anybody that wandered in those woods were being kind of sucked in and forced to, they were, if they weren't being killed, they were forced to become part of whatever this ritual was. So, so yeah, like I said, I think that's totally correct. Um, that they had changed a lot from their former lives, and had become that way. They were pretty much living like animals. Um, but yeah,
One of the
and that,
things
go ahead.
one of the things that really impressed me about this movie
Oh, yeah.
were the sets,
Yes.
how they played with the camera work to show just this wide open empty expanse with nothing for miles,
Yeah.
not a hint of civilization.
Well, the cinematography was incredible. Yeah.
Mhm, mhm. And then the image of the woods being the exact opposite, dark and oppressive.
Yeah. Yeah.
But when they started like doing this, where they were combining the woods with the convenience store.
Yeah. Yeah. It was almost like now it was becoming like multi-dimensional or something. It was,
Mhm.
I mean, he's running and it's like he's going into the convenience store. I was actually wondering the first time I saw this, I was actually thinking to myself, is he gonna, because of what had happened to him, were they gonna like give him a second chance to maybe change, which I also thought could have been a cool alternate ending or something if he had actually gone right back to the store at the time of the robbery, saved his friend, and then said, "Hey, we're going to Vegas. We're not going on that trip," because that in itself,
Well, Lisa had a very different interpretation.
right,
She felt that he died in that store.
in the store, yeah, which
And
could have,
then this whole thing, this ordeal was his passage into death, into the afterlife.
that's actually not a bad, that's actually
Mhm.
not a bad, possibility, because I definitely was wondering when I saw him like running back towards that store, as he's running away from the beast, I thought to myself, he's going to end up in that store. So that could very well have been it. That could
Well,
have been
well,
his
also
path.
the way they transition
Yeah,
to, you see the guy cowering in the store, his
yeah,
friend lying dead on the ground.
yeah,
He walks out and then immediately he wakes up in a tent
right.
in
Right.
Sweden. We don't know how he got there.
Yeah.
We saw no transition.
Yeah. Yeah. It was quite a, it was, it was shock like that, you know, it was,
Mm.
so yeah, I think Lisa may actually be onto something there. That's a,
I gotta say that this movie impressed me in so many ways, in so
yeah,
many like subtle ways. On the face of it, like I said, there's no surprises, there's no twists and turns. This isn't an overly complex movie, but the effects of the cinematography and the editing
yeah,
and the sound, all of it, it's just an amazingly cohesive film. It really makes an impact.
it's tightly done.
Mhm.
It's well filmed, it's well acted, well edited. I mean, the whole movie is just nicely done. And it's not the scariest horror movie I ever saw before, but it didn't need to be. It's just good. Good plot line, and you know, it's the other thing I found really refreshing was that they didn't have horror has gotten to the point now where probably like 2/3 of the newer horror movies, they have the killer keep getting up, it just keeps going on and on and on. This was one of those ones that did not do that to you, and I'm really happy it didn't. So, I mean, what you saw was what you saw, and yeah, well done.
Another thing that really impressed me is this is one of the few horrors I've actually seen survive the creature reveal.
Right, right.
It's so often that you'll if there's a creature involved, you'll see it in shadow. You'll see it quickly out of the corner of your eye. It will never be shown directly. And often, if a movie does break down and show it directly, it's horrible.
Yeah, and well, here's the other thing about the creature. Yeah, it's not. It's like it's not the like probably scariest creature I ever saw. It's also like it's effective. The look of it is effective, and part of it is even just what's happening because this thing has it's not like like oh my god, like I'm so afraid of this thing, but its powers were so strong, and it was what it was doing to people's minds.
Mhm.
It was it was it was something that was it fit the mythological creature. Let's put it that way.
Mhm.
It was
And it looks so unlike almost any other creature I've seen out there. It's an extremely unique design.
yeah, 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 and again, it just fit that. It fit the description and the the idea of what that Norse mythology would be, and did it without being stupid or silly. I mean, it easily could have fallen into a silly kind of a
Yeah.
look, and it did not. It did not.
So
It was
so
creepy.
I love adding little links to
Yeah,
the movies to our videos
yeah.
that give deeper information about the movie.
Yeah.
And this creature, I'm going to link to the people that designed it.
Oh, nice,
A
nice.
husband and wife team,
Really cool.
Josh Russell and Sierra Spence. And
Huh.
together they are Russell FX.
Huh. Okay. Cool.
And
Very cool.
when I found this out, I looked into them. Their their Instagram is phenomenal.
Huh. Huh.
It's just crazy wild stuff that they
Yeah,
do.
can you do a link to the Instagram too? Or that would be
Oh yeah, yep. I'm
nice.
gonna do both.
Yeah, give them due props, and hopefully, if people visit, hopefully they mention that they saw.
Tell them we sent.
Yeah, on spoiler alert. So yeah, that's pretty cool. But yeah, I like this. I like the whole druidic type of creepiness to it. It was fun. I mean, you really didn't know when they started getting into those woods, and look how thick those woods are. I mean, if you look
Mhm.
behind me, look how they're it's you're not seeing a whole lot of open sky. There's all different types of forests, but this was definitely a closely treed forest that you could easily get turned around in. without maybe really watching the sky, the stars, your
Oh yeah, this is
direction.
not this was not a novice hike. I'm not quite
No,
sure what they were thinking to begin with.
yeah, yeah. When they started getting into those woods, they might have they might have thought to themselves, maybe, without like really, and again, with what was going on in there, I wouldn't have even trusted a compass. I would have, you would have had to really rely on stars and where the position of the sun and it would be hard to see that. You probably have to look on trees for what side of the tree the moss is growing on at that point. But again, you would need a little bit of skill to get out of those woods.
So it's funny, like, to me, you had talked about this like 10 years ago. This would just be horror.
Yeah.
But I now realize that after reading enough stuff, that this is part of a subgenre of horror called folk horror,
Right. Right.
supernatural folk horror.
Yeah.
Midsummer, you already mentioned that.
Yeah.
The
Which
Wicker Man.
yeah, those are all films. I'm not the new Wicker Man, but the old Wicker Man,
Hmm.
and of course the movie Midsummer, which those are all incredible, and I love this type of horror. It's I mean, Midsummer. I mean, we've talked about it more than once in our talks, but that to me is absolutely a favorite horror movie of mine. I love the way the everything creeped up on you. I mean, just from the start of the girl who goes there, and she and her suffering from her whole family is dead,
Talk
and
talk about adding depression and
yeah,
loss to
yeah,
the aspect of horror.
yeah, and then the indifference with the friends and all that, and then add in some drugs because they're all doing shrooms when they get there and they're tripping, and the photography in that, and I'm not trying to get away from this, but I'm just talking about this type of thing, and then of course there's this whole druidic society and very pagan society, and it's kind of like, are they good? Are they bad? Are they, they were very friendly and open, but you're also noticing these weird things going on. And that's what is going on here is it starts out, yeah, that's a great shot of his friend there, but you're being like subtly introduced to these things that are like starts out they're just in the woods and the woods are a little creepy. Then there's all these signs, and then there's this, the deer, But
I mean, part of the power of this genre of horror is that you're bringing nature into the mix. I mean,
yep.
nature itself can be deadly.
Oh yeah, and scary. It's and if believe me, you can get yourself into a whole lot of trouble if you don't know what you're doing in the
Yeah, you
wilderness.
don't need a supernatural creature.
No, no, anything, and then there's all types of predators out there. There's everything from whether it's human that's doing it, whether it's something supernatural. But you can get in trouble with a bear. You can get in trouble with a mountain lion. There's all kinds of ways. A snake. There's all kinds of ways of being killed in the wilderness, and nature thinks of some pretty some pretty interesting ways of featuring your demise. But yeah, like I said, I don't know. This was a movie that drew me right in. So
Yeah.
good pick, John.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Again, it's like, you know, I'm probably never going to choose Midsummer.
Right,
And not because I don't love it. It's a great movie. It's just that it's been talked about so much.
right,
I,
right,
I
right.
feel like people really they know about that. They don't need
Yeah,
me telling them.
yeah,
This is a movie that I think if you're into horror, this is worthwhile to see.
yeah, yeah. Well, again, Midsummer. I would say one reason. I'm not saying I wouldn't pick it down the road because I might,
Right,
but
right.
but at the same time, I feel like we bring it up enough because we're probably both fans of it that it almost doesn't need to be done because every time we bring up one of these. Now, here's a question for you. Do you know about? Because I have no idea myself. I'm legitimately asking you this. Do you know about or have you seen this one?
No,
Because I saw that. I saw that. I have no idea. It kind of looked like there was probably something totally different, but apparently there is a sequel. No
you know,
idea.
I can see that
Yeah.
that creature is not going away.
No,
It's still
no.
going to be there.
And I could also see that there could be another good one. But I have no idea. I did
This
see the
that poster doesn't give me hope.
it doesn't either because
She
it's
doesn't look like she's out for a hike in Sweden.
no, no. So like I said, when I saw this screenshot, I had to grab it just to show it to you and ask if you had seen it or heard about it. But but yeah, I mean, I would say there is something compelling about it, but at the same time,
I can't put my finger on it.
yeah, I can't quite myself, but but no, as far as like um the poster itself looks so different than the poster that they have for this is like this looks
This
like
looks
much more of
dark
a
and
legit,
oppressive.
yes. And the other one looks more Hollywood. They're the hot babes in there, which nothing wrong with a hot babe, but at all. But this was a more of a legit horror movie. So I don't know. I'm not putting the other one down because I haven't seen it. So I just don't know.
By the way, this guy behind me, I don't
Yes.
know if you recognize him. So that he played one of the main characters, Luke. This is Rafe Spall. That's the actor's name.
Yeah.
He was in oh, what's it called? That trilogy. Shaun of the Dead, Hot
Oh,
Fuzz, and The World's End.
okay. Well, I love all three of those.
It's
I
it's it's got an official name as a trilogy. I
yeah.
can't remember what it is. It's like the End of the World trilogy or
I,
something.
I really want to do like World's End at the very least sometime, or either that or do like all three of them at once or something because I love those movies. They're
Mhm.
awesome, incredibly funny. Uh, it's clever humor. They just those movies are great, and those the way they put those together,
Well, I
the
mean,
actors.
Simon Pegg.
Oh my God, yes.
I mean, he is just phenomenal in
Yeah,
those.
yeah, the best. So yeah, I would love to do a talk on those, but no, I didn't. I didn't realize that about this guy was one of the one of the ones. But no, uh, again,
Yeah, I try, I try and look up the actors, particularly lesser known ones,
yeah,
because they deserve to get credit.
oh yeah. Well,
But like in a
I
movie like this, I'm like looking up these names, and I'm like, no, don't know any of that.
yeah.
Don't know
Well,
any of what.
that's the thing. I looked at the. I glanced over, I just did a little bit of check on the film and I glanced over the actors and I was like, I don't know any of these guys. And that was just my and I you know nothing stood out about who they were or that I had seen them in another role. So
Evidently, if you watch a lot of British TV, these
yeah.
guys are known faces.
Oh, I'll bet. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But like
I don't see
Downton
enough.
Abbey,
What's that?
like in Downton
Oh,
Abbey, and I
really?
think Bridgerton, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No, I actually I've heard good stuff about Downton Abbey, but I never checked it out.
Mhm.
It's I mean I haven't really checked out a lot of I say newer. Downton Abbey's kind of a little bit old at this point, but I haven't seen anything really new for British television, so I can't say anything too much to that. But
There's so much out to watch that, particularly for television,
yeah,
I stick to my genres. I stick
yeah,
to, sci-fi and horror with the occasional detective show.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's the trouble. I tend to like wait on TV shows too. There is this great quality TV shows out there, but I tend
Mhm.
to like wait until somebody says, "Oh, this is really good," or I hear something about it, and I'm like, "Okay, I'll check it out." Uh,
We've talked about doing a video where we talk about some of our favorite TV shows.
yeah,
But let me just take the time to say, for anyone out there watching Fallout, 2 thumbs up. I mean, they really did a great job on that
Uh,
series.
okay, yeah, and that's one I've yet to immerse myself in, but I'm sure I will get to it at a certain point. But
It's gonna be it's a great show. It's gonna be a lot more meaningful if you've played the game, which
yeah,
I have.
yeah, I haven't.
uh,
So
But
yeah,
it's still a really good show.
okay, cool, cool. Yeah, again, you know, I I'm open to recommendations for TV shows, but there's I don't know, there's certain ones that I definitely am a fan of, and more recent ones. But I will hesitate. I will put my foot through the path until I know that people have said, "Oh, this is really good," or or I see great reviews on it, or a terrific trailer or something. But yeah, but
But enough going away from the reservation. Let's get
yeah,
back to the movie at hand.
yeah, yeah, and again, as far as the guy that was the last man standing, I kind of feel like he redeemed himself, at least to the viewers. In the end, it wasn't that he was just a wuss. He was, which again, I didn't even take it that way. I took it that way. It was, you never know how someone's going to react to a
Mm-mm.
situation, and he was petrified. But I mean, he certainly loved his friend, and he didn't want his friend to die that way. But he did in the movie. He definitely stood up and kind of redeemed himself. So
Though I got to tell you, if you think about it, and I don't suggest people do, but I can't help it. If you think about it, this guy is probably not going to be alive for that much longer. At
no,
the very least, he's going to have lifelong PTSD in therapy.
oh yeah, yeah,
And it would not surprise me if he took his own life in less than a year after
oh,
these events.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. No, I mean, it's hard to get over. It's hard to get over what they went through because that's PTSD on another level.
Oh, yeah.
It's um, and again, people have to watch it. We both, I think both Dom and I have both, given this a pretty clear 2 thumbs up.
Yep. Yep.
It's easily that. Again, like I said, I mean, I've definitely I've seen scarier horror. It's just
Mhm.
that this is this is effective horror,
This
and
is just well done.
yeah. So, and it's horror on a more of a subtle level. It's not like, it's not Mike Myers kind of a kind of a horror. It's which I'm actually in some ways I'm thankful for that because Mike Myers, it's a you take that in small doses. I think those are overdone a lot of times. The hack and slash killing ones, I don't even get frightened at those. Most of the time, I'm looking at them and I'm thinking, that's come on, we've seen this before. It's been there, done that. It's a multiple body count is not what makes a horror movie scary. I mean, you think about it. They went in there with the 4 guys, and there wasn't that many deaths. What was it was there was a foreboding, there was
Mhm.
a suspense, there was the mind things that were going on. That's what was scary about it. That's what made you think to yourself, okay, this is creepy as hell. you know.
Mhm.
So that's what makes for to me for a good horror movie. But yeah, that's my opinion on it. I'm in favor of it.
Yeah, well, you know my opinion. I chose it. I can remember I didn't expect much when I first saw it, and I was blown away
yeah.
by by it actually being really good.
The more I look at horror movies, the more I actually have found the gems to be the indie films, the
Mhm.
smaller budget movies. That to me is where you're seeing success. And I mean, every once in a while, Hollywood will pull off something, creepy with a newer with a newer film and a big budget film. But this is 10 times creepier than a lot of movies I've seen, out of Hollywood in recent years. So, uh, big praise
And
to
like
it.
you said, there's no real jump scares
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
It's just this sense of foreboding that's
Yeah.
pervasive. Like
Well,
you pretty much know they're all doomed.
yeah. Well, to tell you the truth, I mean, I was saying it before, but to me, one of the creepiest scenes was that cabin scene.
Hmm.
But they went in there. All I could think to myself was, I wouldn't stay in that place. But then again, outside it was raining. They didn't have any shelter. I don't think they had a whole lot of skills in erecting a shelter. They didn't have any tools even. No one. I don't think they had an axe, or maybe they had a hunting knife. I have no idea. But the cabin was really the only place they could get warm and dry, and they had
Hmm.
a hurt sick guy with them. So the cabin kind of was, because I was thinking to myself, well, what would I do in that situation? And it's like, I guess you got to stay in the cabin,
You gotta stay in the cabin.
So yeah, and the cabin was not where they really wanted to be, and it wasn't where they really should have been either.
Well, I
So
mean, once they went beyond that elk in the
yeah,
trees
oh
and
yeah,
the runic markings carved into the
yeah,
trees, once they went past that
yeah,
point, it was done. It was over. The
yeah.
cabin.
There's a turn back point, I think, for in every horror movie, maybe, or most horror movies, and certainly for this type of genre anyway. And when they first saw that, that was the point where they should have said, okay, re- regardless of how badly we're doing here, we need to turn around.
Mhm.
So, but they didn't do it. They pushed on, and I wouldn't say for better or worse, because it was definitely for worse.
It was definitely for worse.
Yeah, yeah. So again, really fun way of pulling you into it. And look at just the look and feel of what you see behind me. That's kind of the entire look. That once they get into those woods, the film has this oppressive, dreary, heavy feel to it. And you get almost a sense of hopelessness when you're in there.
Mhm.
You're like, oh man, I'm not getting out of this. It's so that I think is why it was effective and scary. I
Mhm.
mean, again, look at even here in the woods, not much sunlight. Um, it's a closed in claustrophobic feeling. So effectively done, well photographed.
Yep. Yep. A worthy entrance into the supernatural folk horror genre.
Yeah, yeah. Well, give me that type of horror anytime because it's creepy. I mean, it's
Oh, we'll be choosing more of that kind of
yeah,
horror.
yeah. And I'm gonna have to dig into some of the ones because I've seen a couple. I saw one about a sniper that was actually, and I've kind of had it on the back of my picks there, but it's a couple that are in a really bad place, and some guy is like literally hunting them, and it's creepy as hell. So, not a horror one, but a suspense one. So, yeah, there's ones when people get out in the woods, it can get creepy. So,
We've got movies to go. As always, if you're watching along, please recommend some movies to us. But even if you don't, we have more than enough to choose
yeah,
from.
yes, so many, and again, as far as like picks, yeah, we do want your recommendations, please, and comment, but we'll keep them coming regardless
Mhm.
because there's so many good ones. I mean, we don't have enough time. That's the problem. We we would be devoting our entire lives to this if
We
we were
almost
doing.
already do.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's very true.
The next pick is yours, Mike.
Yep, yep. I'll have to pull up hopefully something that we can have some fun with. But I'm sure we will one way or another. But no, I think we've kind of we've
We've
kind of
covered
done
it.
this one. Yeah, we've done this one justice. But and no idea how Ritual 2 is,
You
but
know, now that I know about it, I'm going to have to see it.
yeah, yeah, you're gonna have to check it out. I mean, it makes me want to, at least take a look at it.
I gotta tell you, I don't know who they're trying to attract with that
Yeah.
poster.
Well,
As a horror fan, that looks ridiculous.
well, it has a certain uh talking about genres. It has that like Wrong Turn, what's that other
Got
one, or the Rest Stop one? So I mean, there's
Wolf Creek,
yeah. So
Hills Have Eyes.
yes, yeah, and not to and I will not disparage some of those. There are certain ones in those categories you mentioned, that there's certain ones that I do like. Um, I think I liked some of the Wrong Turn, or I know I liked some of the Wrong Turn ones pretty well. Um, but it did get a little old too, that franchise. And I love the original Hills Have Eyes,
Right. I
and
mean, the Hills Have Eyes is the classic. There's no
absolutely,
arguing that. But
yeah,
much like the slasher,
yeah.
I feel that Lost in the Backwoods has been done to death as well.
It has. It has, but there's always a new way of doing it
Mhm.
to make it interesting. I mean, there's one, I think it's Backcountry. I don't know if you've ever seen that, and I actually was thinking of doing that at some point. That's actually a very fun movie, about a couple that goes out into the woods and a bear, um, and that's actually pretty effectively done. Um, so yeah, I would absolutely choose that one, and I probably will. So,
But let's leave that for another time, Mike.
yes, yeah, we will. So Dom, I had fun. It was a great movie, great pick. Um,
Always love talking movies.
yeah, so you definitely had a winner there, and I should turn it back into the correct movie, because that's what we were talking about. But no, again, very fun watch. Anybody that hasn't seen it, I don't think we've killed it for you if you haven't seen it. But
No, because it's the feeling, really.
yeah, it is. It is. And I think most people, if they like horror, I think they'll enjoy this. And you're not going to be like overwhelmingly frightened by this movie. It's a good one for if you just want to watch something that's good and creepy, um, and a good fun watch. This is your movie. So check it out if you haven't seen it. It's a worthy watch. But Dom, great talk, great
Always.
time as always. Yep, and we'll do it again next week.
I'll
So
see you in a week, man.
yeah, sounds good, buddy. But thanks everybody from Spoiler Alert. Leave a like and subscribe if you would. Thank you very much, Dom.